It's the Dadnarok After Show. Now, here's Chris and Sean.
Welcome back to the Dadnarok After Show. This is Sean.
And this is Chris.
And we're here tonight to not talk about Lord of the Rings.
No, we kind of booted, but it is what it is.
We're here to talk about Silo Season 1. Silo is a show on Apple TV Plus that came out in 2022.
Oh, that's a good question. When did that actually first? Yeah, 23.
Oh, so it's
It was
only
in
been a
May
year?
of 23, yeah.
Okay, well, there we go. That'd be nice if we can get Season 3 next year. Well, anyway, Season 2 is coming out soon in November. I've never seen it. Chris has seen it.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, no, this was one of those shows that was sneaky. Like, not a whole lot of people were talking about it. It was put on Apple TV.
Yeah.
Apple TV has basically a good record of just good shows. So every now and then I'm just going to pull it on, try it out, and see what it's about. And
Yeah.
I am very adamant about like post-apocalyptic shows. I don't like them.
Yeah, you hated Fallout.
Dude, I tried my best to want to like Fallout. I
loved Fallout.
I watched 2 episodes and I was like, I can't. This show there's nothing about the show that makes me want to watch it. And I'm not a hate watcher. So I'm not going to continue to force myself into watching something.
Clearly, we're not hate watchers. I didn't even watch the last 2 episodes of Lord of the Rings yet.
I watched them. We didn't really want to talk about it, but we watched them. But this one here, well, you know what? Before we get into it, I love the show. I watched these first 2 episodes and it just it reminded me how much I loved it and how much I'm looking forward to season 2 starting.
Yes.
You are new to the show.
I'm a virgin.
What did you think of these first 2 episodes? What was your first impression of what was going on?
I wanted to watch episode 3, but I couldn't because we had to get on here and talk about episode 1 and 2.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I was going to message you. I was like, dude, should we just keep going? Because I wanted to watch more. The way episode 2 ended, I'm like, man, I want to keep going. Even though I know what's happening, I'm like, I want more of this.
It's good sci-fi so far, good world building. And we'll just kind of talk about 2. Yeah, so tonight we're talking about episodes 1 and 2 of the first season. How many episodes in total are there?
I think there's 10. Let me check that.
But yeah, we'll probably be doing like 2 or 3 episodes a week as we talk about this recap leading up to the premiere of season 2, which comes out November 15th on Apple TV Plus. And of course, then we'll be covering that as it comes out.
We're going to cover that weekly, yeah.
Okay, so you remember this was a weekly release then?
This was a weekly release, yeah. I think almost everything Apple does, they are weekly releases.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
that's what we'll do. We're going to cover
10 episodes. It was 10 episodes first season. I'm anticipating 10 episodes season 2.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, then we're going to be talking Silo season 2 through the holidays. That'll be fun.
There we go. It's good times. No, one thing, like, my biggest gripe when I'm watching a post-apocalyptic like show, I can't relate to anything. There's nothing really to relate to in those shows. For me, I have a hard time grasping at things.
Yeah.
And this one here, I feel like it's modern day society, essentially, just within this silo in the ground. You have your levels of, bureaucracy, and you have your sheriffs, and you have judicial, and you have your everyday schmucks like us that will be just going to work and going home each day and just kind of living our lives and celebrating holidays and everything. And then you have what's happening in this show. There's that intrigue that's happening, but between Sheriff Colston
Judicial.
and everything, and judicial gets crazy. I don't want nothing out of the bag, but Common, we haven't even met him yet. Common is the main judicial person.
He was in a snippet of the second episode, like just briefly in one scene. It was just enough as far as just like, who's this guy?
They gave us so much in this season, but they don't think they gave us an ounce really of what his character is. And I can't wait for them to give us more in season 2. But That's just how do you want to talk about this? Do you want to dive in just kind of in general? You want to kind of talk by episode or?
I think just in general, it's hard to kind of differentiate when you've got 2 episodes fresh on the mind. I mean, separating the 2 episodes, I do like how they were constructed, where the first episode was a real big focus on the sheriff and his wife. I don't know the actor who plays the sheriff, but I know Rashida Jones. She's been in so many different things. Um, and she was great. It was a little bit of a detriment. Every time I see an actor that I recognize, I sometimes fall in the trap of only recognizing them as that character, as
Mhm.
that actress or actor,
Yeah.
But she was good where I was able to, like, after a few minutes, I just fell right in and I was with her character and their intentions and the drama of them trying to have a child for a 3rd time.
Dude,
And
what do you think of that? That metal thing, like
Mhm.
birth control thing that they implant in these women. Then you got to take it out if they get put into a lottery, if they win to be able to try to have children.
Um, yeah, it was well, you kinda have to, like, play catch up because they don't do a lot of, like, talky explaining, you know what I mean? There's not a lot of scenes where they're just heavy dialogue where they're, like, explaining the world around them. They're just
Yeah.
kinda, like, living in the world, and you have to kinda pick up on it, which that could go either way. If it works, then I'm a big fan of that, but if it doesn't work, then I feel like I'm lost the whole time, and if I can't it's hard for me to get invested if I don't know the world I'm in, I don't know
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like, if it's too much too quickly, then I kind of, like, nope out pretty quickly,
Well, they
but
really
this
they took a risk in the first episode
yeah,
because the first thing you see is Sheriff Holston walking into holding 3 and he's telling
yeah.
Sheriff Molson, I think it's Will Patton, I think
Will
it is.
Patton, that's the
Uh
actor, yeah.
he told
Who I
him to
think he
meet.
passed away recently.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think he did.
Oh,
Well,
that's it.
I'm gonna look it up
You're
while
looking
we're
up.
on
Oh,
here.
I think he's gonna play a part. But yeah, anyway, it's like they took that risk, and then he's sitting down in the holding cell. He's looking at that basically that picture that we have no idea what it is yet. And then all of a sudden we jump backwards 3 years.
Okay, thank the maker. He's still alive. He's 70. I
Okay.
don't know. I think I got him confused with some other character actor, but Will Patton, this guy's been in Remember the Titans, he's been in Armageddon, Gone in 60 Seconds, tons of westerns with Kevin Costner. The guy's just been in so many movies, from the '90s and stuff that you and I would probably recognize too, some big ones. But yeah, Will Patton, it was nice seeing him in this show because he is just like one of those character actors where it's like, oh, I know him and he's good.
He's very rarely a main character, but
Right.
he is a strong secondary character in
Yeah, for
most of
sure.
his stuff, if I remember right.
But yeah, it was a nice introduction. That's another thing too, is like the quality of actors in this, like Rebecca Ferguson. I mean, she's just like top
Dude,
tier. She's a
she
movie star, man.
lit it on fire. Like
Yeah.
everything she does in this show is like I believe.
Yes.
It's like I'm not I suspend the belief for everything else. You know, they're in this silo and
Right.
I am all in on what she's telling me, what the story is about her. I'm not picking up my phone. I'm not doing anything. She's a mechanic that's keeping the lights on. She's basically
Yeah.
working in the down low to make sure that the silo stays the silo. So she is a vital person even before we meet her.
Yeah. And you mentioned they took a risk by how they introduced him. And I like that even in the second episode with kind of going back and reintroducing her because she was introduced in the first episode, but only a brief scene.
Yeah.
And then the second episode, we kinda get her full story, so we go backwards in time and, like, catch up with her, but it's not like timey-wimey where it's hard to, like, follow. It's basically it gives you a scene you're never I never questioned, like, "Okay, where are we at now?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, once I saw who we were with and who we were talking to and, like, where in the silo we were, I was able to put together pretty quickly, like, "Oh, okay, well, this must have been a few months before, or this must be after quite a few times after the last scene." I wasn't it played with time, but it didn't play with it so hard where I was just, like, confused about what the hell was going on.
Yeah. And they played with it pretty drastically too, because we're talking 3 years, the original
Yeah.
jump back. And then we're learning about like how Sheriff Holston's wife, you know, Allison,
Allison? Yeah.
yeah, works in like IT-ish kind of things. And she's like already kind of pushing back against, what, the bureaucracy is and everything within,
Yeah.
her organization. That's when we see Tim Robbins. Tim Robbins pops
Yes.
in.
And then we don't see him at all in the second episode, so I'm very curious, not seeing anything past the second episode, what kind of a role he has later in this series.
Dude, I want to talk about it so bad, but we're gonna keep that under wraps. Dude,
Yeah.
I can't hold my like enjoyment for the show because I was almost to the point where like I was having a hard time finding time to watch it. And
Yeah.
once I put it on, I was like, I just sank in my chair.
Right.
But yeah, we go on, and I found out that the silo is 144 levels deep.
That's what they said, yeah.
144 levels deep. Because so could you imagine being the mayor when she had to walk all the way down, anywhere, or Sheriff Colston when he had to walk down to the bottom to the basically where the level 1 was to meet
Yeah.
Juliet.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's not even including, like, they keep mentioning, like, the mines. They're gonna send you to the mines, which at first I thought that was a level that was with the engineers, but it seems like it's maybe even like a deeper level or in a whole nother level, the mines. And then there's the whole cavern underneath where the actual, like, drill was, where they just walled it off.
yeah, and
The
yeah, it's
founders walled it
episode
off.
2. Yeah, they they find that, and Juliet takes the sheriff down there,
So that's
and
even deeper.
yeah.
So I like that we see so much of the silo so early on. It really gives you a fuller understanding of how, like, big this thing is. Yeah.
Well, then you have the whole, okay, sheriff said he wants to. I guess the one thing you can't say is I want to go outside. The minute you
Yeah.
say I want to go outside, it's over,
Right.
and you are going outside, and essentially they want you to clean the camera to remind everybody it's still not safe to go outside.
Yeah.
And like everyone's like, I'm never going to clean it. Well, I'll clean it if they're full of shit.
That's one thing. Now you're gonna be tempted to like, I guess talk about this further, but no spoilers here because I want to try to remain spoiler free because I'm watching this show intently. One thing I am kind of confused by is that what did Allison say before she went out? She said if everything's basically she had an understanding that the world outside does not look like the world that they project on these screens to
Yes.
everybody. That she believes that it's, like, actually, like, sunshine and blue skies and
Because
birds in
they
the
found
air.
that her and what was his name? George
Yeah,
found that we're working on that hard drive, that relic, a thing
right.
of what happened they had before the rebellion that took place.
Yeah,
So they're working on this, and they found it, and they're finding files, and things aren't adding up to what judicial and the mayor and the sheriffs and everyone's being told. So somebody is in the dark, and with that knowledge she had, she was like, I'm gonna go outside, and if I clean the camera off, that's my signal to you that they're lying to you.
mm,
So
okay.
when she's seen what she's seen, and she turned around and cleaned the camera off, that was her sign to the sheriff that they're full of crap.
But then at the same time, she takes some steps, she's gonna walk over the hill, and she dies, going up there. So it's like, I'm confused whether or not the air outside is actually poison, or if they're pumping in some poison in these helmets that they're putting on these folks. And because he takes his helmet off, but he doesn't last really any longer than she did when she had her helmet on. He does the same thing where he like crawls up to her and like he collapses and he's dead or still out there. So I'm just as of this point, I'm confused as to where that line is. Where's the lie? Because we barely see a glimpse of the outside as he sees it.
Through his
We
visor.
Yeah, we as viewers see the blue skies and this and that.
And the birds and everything that are being
But I'm almost of the mind of like, is that what's really out there? Is he just seeing this? Is this, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still confused. Like,
okay.
um, be-
So this isn't a spoiler,
okay,
but how intently did you watch the video when they were playing the video when they played the hard drive?
when they were looking through files in the hard
Yeah,
drive.
yeah, there was a video they clicked on, and there was a file that played.
Oh, was somebody the file was labeled as somebody being outside or somebody's
Yes.
cleaning, like a name and then somebody's cleaning, but I didn't really get a good look at
There
what the
was a
video.
video that played.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Because you can go back if you wanna kind of piece some things together. It's vague, but seeing
Right.
that I watched it once and watching it again, I kind of picked up on it.
Yeah.
But we'll leave that at that. But yeah, I was the same way. I was like, okay, what's going on? Because when you put the suit on and you walk into this room, they didn't spray you with something. You get sprayed.
Yeah.
Then they open up the doors while you're walking up, and the lights are lighting up, and then it opens up in front of wherever this essentially this webcam
That's
is.
true too. I thought it was maybe a feed through the tubes that's going up into the helmet, but you're right. Like maybe it's something even before that. Because I just assumed that was like a decompression chamber or something, right?
Yeah,
Where they're shooting like disinfectant or I don't know, whatever
yeah,
how
they're
that
not
usually works.
they're not clear on that at any point in the rest of the season. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
So my guessing is, I think it has something to do with that. Now they've got to get into that a little later in the next season, but they don't tell us. They hint at some things later
Yeah.
on how the season goes, but they don't say exactly what happens between when that door shuts. They spray you, they open it up, they close it, and then it basically they have like an inferno that burns off anything that's in there before they
Mm,
open that door back up. So my guess is there's some kind of chemical they're spraying, because it comes
right.
down to what she's like when she told the sheriff, why would they keep us in here? Essentially, it's power, it's control.
Mhm.
That's exactly what it is. That's why if they have all this power and all this control within here, if they let everybody out, everyone that has power and control in the silo no longer will be able to hold that power or that
Right.
control.
Yeah. And I kind of understand that well, already, like, so early but the fact that, that's kind of apparent so early on, and we're only 2 episodes in here, and we've got 8 more of this 1st season, I'm curious about, like, how deep this rabbit hole goes, you know what I mean? Like, where does this because it's my understanding too that something happened to our world, the world that has, little ducky Pez dispensers, right?
Yeah,
Something happened to where either one or more of these silos were built. Um, and something happened along the way in the history of this silo after the fact, where all of our previous history and records of the world before were destroyed and kind of banned. And my understanding is it's the whole rebel thing. Like they were in this silo for so long, and then some rebellion happened, and now they don't even know. It's been generations, and because their
yeah.
history is wiped out, they don't even know like
I
why
think it's
they're
been
here.
hundreds of years. I think they say during the speech at the Freedom Day.
Right. And they kind of re-say that speech when they're sending somebody out to walk the plank too. Like they kind of go through a little recap of we don't know
Once you're
why
out,
we're here.
yeah,
Someday we'll know why we're here, but it ain't today.
yeah,
um so I'm curious, like, as far as just how much of that is truth, the history, this rebellion, like they've layered a bunch of lore in with this cool concept of a sci-fi show, and I love that. If you're able to do both, if you're able to do solid characterization, solid world building, solid sci-fi, and then even throw in some interesting lore on top of that, like, yeah, something wild happened. We have 2 wild things happening. We've got whatever happened, whatever transition there was between our worlds to the silos, and then later, whatever this rebellion was. Like, is
yeah.
it actually what was kind of characterized by the holiday, or was it something totally different?
Well, I mean, history is usually written by the victors. So what
Exactly. Right.
truly took place?
Yeah.
So then you have now you say so fast forward to say like episode 2 here, you have George that supposedly committed suicide.
Mm,
He just jumped over the side, he lands down below, and Juliet is like, this was murder. Things
right.
aren't adding up. 1 plus 1 is not 14. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
she knows him, but apparently you have to be in like a sanctioned relationship, within, this world. So basically, essentially it's what we do today. It's probably as much as a marriage certificate, and it recognizes you as a couple. That's kind of how I looked at it.
Oh, I took it a step further. I took it as though it's almost the first line of defense against because the theory that Allison had was that they weren't going to let her have a child
Yes,
for whatever reason, right?
because
Is
she's too
that
outspoken.
she's too outspoken, she's too curious, and her husband is like one in power that kind of keeps her in check. But basically, that was my understanding is that we're not going to let her have a child to then grow up and carry on her curious traits or whatever. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
let's not have that child grow up and then be as rebellious and curious as she is. Let's have people that are docile, don't question the things around them, and we're going to use genetics and um, basically, you're a lot like your parents. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Well, I
And you
mean,
can't
yeah,
really help that.
but I think the easy way to go ahead and I say my rebuttal to that would be they had to win a lottery to be able to be approved to try to have children. So then that birth control would have had to be removed. So if they would have never say won that lottery,
Yeah.
they would have never had the ability to go ahead and have the birth control removed and then attempt to have children. So
Do
that could have
they
been their way to
specifically like, I've only seen 2 episodes, so do they specifically say it's a lottery that they
yes.
won?
Yeah. And
Okay.
in the first episode, you see that they get the call. It was a lottery. This is the third time that they won the lottery, Holston and Allison. And they were shocked that they got another opportunity. But come to
Well,
find out that they
f
didn't actually remove her birth control when she actually cut it out herself because no one's seen it be removed.
yeah, I understand all that. My understanding of the episodes is that it wasn't a lottery, but it was them just basically putting in an application, like, if you wanna have a kid in this world, you have to apply to have sex. You know what I mean? Like, you have to apply for the ability so that they'll remove that blockage that would get the woman pregnant just to qualify. Like, they look at the people and they're like, "Okay, well, this is this person's history. This is this person's history. Here's their genetics. Here's how they've basically fallen in line their entire lives. And you know what? Check. They're approved to have offspring because they're gonna have offspring that are docile."
You
I
may
took it
be
as like
right. I'm not sure. I may be incorrect. I took it as a lottery and I may be wrong.
yeah,
But I mean, even in that aspect, if you got to apply for it, they can easily deny your application. So I think
right.
in either aspect, it could be, they could still get married, but never be approved to have children.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's how I took it, as that um your application is either done almost like today with like home loans or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
depending on your history, your credit history, but it's not such a credit history, it's more of a like your personality history or your
Yeah.
behavior history. You know what I mean? Like, um
Well, come to find
and
out, George was like, he didn't want to actually go through that with her because he was protecting her from the things that he had. So if something went sideways, which it did, she
right.
was able to plead, ignorance.
Yeah.
So she wasn't sent to the mines or out to clean or whatever the actual, I think it would have been the mines. And they referenced the mines a few times in this season,
Yeah.
but I don't know any more than you know about the mines.
Really?
They don't really get into that too deep in this first season.
Okay. That's interesting. I'm trying to think as far as stuff that stood out to me. We talked I mean, interesting as far as just like them going kind of back and forth through time.
We
Rebecca
have the
Ferguson.
mayor just kind of sitting back
Mm,
and she after the sheriff went out to clean, she's sitting in her office and just looking at the ledgers from all these mayors prior to her. And you're like, she sees like the history of like the water they use and babies being born and everything, but she's never found anything that showed anyone sending a sheriff out. So
mhm.
it's eating her alive, this whole situation. And then, what's this other
So
sheriff?
is she worried about her legacy, or is she worried that things are growing unstable in the silo, or is it a
I
little bit of both?
I think it's unstable. I think
Yeah.
she's concerned about things, and it really. I think she at this point she's concerned about instability, because
Mhm.
even when at Freedom Day, she's talking about it, and Sheriff Holston was like, we haven't had any issues for X amount of years. We're not going to
Mhm.
have any problems. Relax. Let's just go through the ceremony, and we'll
Yeah.
move on to the next day.
Right.
So I think it's that, but now what she knew him so well. Everyone knew him so well.
Yeah.
Everyone, I think, loved Allison as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's what took Allison to get to that point? And then a year after Allison went out, Holston said, I'm going outside. And he said, I should have done this a year ago.
I'm still curious as far as because we get a little bit of Holston and Juliet together. We get a little bit of backstory, but I don't know if we've gotten enough as a viewer to see what pushed Holston over the edge to be like to make the call that he wants to go outside.
There's more coming.
There is more. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. No, that's not the end of like that.
Okay.
So yeah, there will be explanations, more things. I don't know if you noticed when he was in his apartment, and I think it was in episode 2, I think it was, where there was that air vent, and he went up to the air vent.
Yes.
And then he also put a vase of flowers in front of a mirror.
Yeah, more flowers in front of the mirror.
That's 2 things to remember. There are 2 very important details you need to remember because they will be explained.
There was that, and when he was wrapping up his badge and writing that letter. That's another thing. We're always like, there's a bunch of notes where we see people writing notes, and then we don't really find out what's on the note until later in the episode or the next episode. I think that's kind of a cool feature because it's like just a little bit of a mystery to solve.
And another important character to remember was the old lady, the one that was like the maternity lady. Just remember her character because there's more to come with her as well.
She stood out for me, and then another person that stood out was kind of a leader of the engineers, the one that was kind of like clean cut gray hair, facial hair, where he was kind of like rabble rousing, like, we're down here, we're the ones that keep stuff running, like
we're not let's not worry about the up top people, we're the important ones in reality.
Yeah, does he come back at all, or that seemed like a
honestly, I
plays
don't
more role. Maybe
I
not.
think there is. I don't know if it's a major role.
Yeah,
but I know he's fight with Julia.
Okay.
So there's going to be more to come with him, but not. I don't know how big. It's been a minute since I watched it. I watched this when it first came out, so
yeah,
it's been about a year since I've seen this. So I'm remembering things as I'm watching them, almost as we go. But dude, I love the rope. My first thought when I seen the first episode, the first time I watched it, when she's asking about all this rope, I'm thinking, but my mind went worst place. It's like rope.
Yeah.
No, we don't want rope. Rope ends badly.
Yeah.
But then she's like, the water below. And then she's like, well, it makes sense why she'll be terrified of water. Because none of them would know how to swim.
Right. Yeah.
And knowing that she's like, everything that goes in the water sinks. I want to know. I'm gonna stop. I can't. I got
that's where we leave. That's where we leave the second episode. Is her just dangling like a worm on a fishing line, just like at the end of a rope, like between almost falling into the water.
Well, you see her headlamp fall, and you just see it sink.
Right.
So it's like, how deep is that water?
It sinks pretty. I couldn't tell it because the light goes out. I was like, does the light go out because it sinks that far, or did it just like short out in the water? I was like, how deep is this stuff?
So that's awesome. What else? I mean, truly, we haven't really had anything from Judicial yet.
No.
And Judicial is going to be...
Except for the fact that they're always talked about in these hushed tones. They're always walking around in black leather. Like, I get
we found them at the recycle plant. When the two guys were fighting over the actual sledgehammer. That's where we seen Common for the first time.
And when we had that flashback with George visiting Juliet... They came in that room and he kind of bugged out. He was like, "Oh, I'll see you later." Like I think he felt as though he was being followed by a Judicial in that scene. So yeah, we get as a viewer, we get the understanding like these people are not to be trifled with.
Yeah, they're the upper ups, but yeah, dude,
I'm curious how much I'm curious how much the mayor is tied in with Judicial, if like the mayor just if she knows more than she's letting on, or if she's just like, how far along the Venn diagram is she in? You know what I mean? Does she know some or all of what the people in power like Judicial would know? Or does she not know any of it or some of it? You know what I mean? Like, I'm curious what role the mayor ultimately
actually plays in within this actual society.
Yeah. But other than that, yeah, I just want to watch more. Find out
Dude, that
more.
is awesome. Because I'm like, I've been pumping this up. I'm like, I loved it. I was like, we got to do this. We got to watch season 2 as
Yeah.
together and talk about it live. And I'm like, I remember I had such good memories of it. So I'm like, I'm hoping that I wasn't looking back on it fondly and it
Right.
not being as good as I remember when I'm rewatching it.
Just rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, but I've highly loved it. Like you said, the best thing you can my meter, and if you guys been watching this for a while, my meter for watching a show is, do I pick my phone up?
Right.
And these are, for every intended purposes, hour-long shows.
Yeah.
So I went through 2 hours. I just sat there and powered through 2 of them because I just couldn't stop.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up my phone once. And that's even with me already watching it once.
Yeah. Me, that's the same story for me too, and I'm loving it. I can't wait to watch more of it, episode 3, and we'll be here to recap it too. If you've seen Silo and you just want to do a little bit of a rewatch before you are going to dive into the second season, which I'm sure you will, or if you're with us for the first time, you're going to get my perspective because I'm along with you. I've never seen it before. I don't know any spoilers. So we're going to talk about this 2 episodes at a time each week between now and the November 15th premiere of Silo season 2.
And if you're watching live, we are a live interactive show with no
Yes.
paywall. So
Right.
drop a comment, say hi. If it's your first time to us, say hey, say hi where you're from. We'll pull you up. We'll thank you for showing coming with us along with this. So it's always fun, and it's more fun for us when you guys are a part of the show.
100%. So we will be back next week to talk about episodes 3 and 4 of Silo. But until then, I don't even know if there's a catchphrase related to this show.
I don't know. Happy Freedom Day.
Wait. What do people scream? What do people scream when they just say, "I want to get out"?
I want to go outside.
Yeah. Until then, I want to go outside.